Good evening. It's been flooded with visitors ever since the day it opened. Many of them move to tears by the time they leave. The Holocaust Museum in Washington isn't like a lot of other attractions in that city. It's sober and somber and serious, and it teaches a lesson about not repeating the murders and hatred of the past. Today it was the scene of a murder. An elderly man with a gun, apparently driven by long simmering hatred. Our own Pete Williams is in Washington tonight to start off the broadcast. Pete, good evening.
Brian, good evening. The Holocaust Museum has been prepared for something just like this ever since it opened 16 years ago. And tonight, everyone from museum goers to the president is praising the quick response of the security guards, who reacted almost instantly. It was just before 1 p.m. at the U.S. Holocaust Museum, about a mile and a half from the Capitol building, one of the most popular museums in America. Police say a man carrying a .22 caliber rifle boldly walked into the entrance, raised the weapon, and began firing.
Someone's like, run, run, run. Someone got shot, run, run, run.
There was shattered glass, and the police officers were screaming at us to get down.
Immediately upon entering the museum, he was engaged by security guards, and there was an exchange of gunfire.
Remarkably, police and federal agents say only 2 victims were wounded, the gunman himself and a security guard, Stephen Tyrone Johns, who died a few hours later. Investigators say the guards stopped the gunman from getting beyond the security checkpoint.
You never take your guard force or your security people for granted. These folks are trained. They train all the time. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. To protect people at the museum.
Federal investigators identified the gunman as an 88-year-old man, James Winokur von Brunn of Eastern Maryland. They say he maintained this racist website filled with anti-Semitic rants, saying Jews were taking over the government. In 1981, he was arrested at age 61 for barging into the headquarters of the Federal Reserve in Washington carrying 2 guns. He got as far as the room where the Board of Governors was meeting. He served 7 years in prison. On his website, he blamed, quote, a Negro jury and a Jew judge. A group that tracks white supremacists says he was an active member of groups that deny the Holocaust.
When you look over his websites and some of his writings, what you find is the man was an extreme anti-Semite, and also that he was associated with some of the leading neo-Nazi figures in this country.
Former Defense Secretary William Cohen was in the museum today when the shots were fired. A play by his wife, Janet Langhart Cohen, was to be presented tonight. Anne and Emmett, an imaginary conversation between Jewish World War II victim Anne Frank and Emmett Till, murdered by Southern racists.
We ran up the stairs because we didn't know how many shooters there were, what was going on, but bullets were flying, it seemed to be at that time.
Tonight, President Obama, who just last week visited a German concentration camp, said the shooting shows the need to remain vigilant against anti-Semitism and prejudice. He said no American institution is more important to that effort than the Holocaust Museum, and no act of violence will diminish our determination to honor those who were lost, Brian.
Pete Williams starting us off. Sad story out of Washington tonight. Pete, thanks. And with more attention now being focused these days on hate groups across this country, we will have more on the topic later on in the broadcast.